So this month in particular, I have a lot of friends that are sharing their gratitude practice. And there's really good science that supports a daily practice of gratitude. Like really measurable evidence that a practice of daily gratitude increases your happiness, improves your quality of sleep, and might even lower your blood pressure. Measurable results. So yes, be grateful. And I love these friends of mine, but honestly, sometimes their daily gratitude is kind of weak. They're grateful for coffee. I mean, aren't we all? Yeah. But really, is that the best we can do? And they're grateful for the sunset. And yes, that's gorgeous, and we should appreciate that. But some of the time, couldn't we dig a little deeper rather than grasping at the obvious? Isn't that part of the point of a gratitude practice? So health is usually near the top of everyone's list of a big thing they're grateful for. So much of our overall life satisfaction relies on our health. So it's absolutely a foundational thing to appreciate. But then what? Brené Brown has said that what separates privilege from entitlement is gratitude. So let's dig a little deeper there. Maybe being grateful for our health is actually being grateful for the decent insurance coverage we have. Dig a little deeper still, and you might be grateful that your parents could adequately nourish you as a child, so you didn't develop any lifelong conditions. If we keep digging, we might find gratitude for who our parents' parents were and what they looked like, where they came from, that allowed them to pass on that ability to feed the kids. Keep digging. Because odds are, if you look like me, you grew up where the air was cleaner and than the neighborhoods where the black and brown kids grew up. I know that was true in my town. So be grateful. I'm always grateful for family. You know, the people who love you even when they don't like you. The continuity, the connection that we have with each other. But dig deeper. And you see that your family, or at least my family, wasn't torn apart when one parent had to leave to go find work. They weren't imprisoned for crimes that some people never pay for. I was never sent away for my own safety. Generations of my family weren't intentionally separated to stop the spread of language, culture, and history that binds us together. So be grateful for family. We appreciate the roof over our heads, the food in our bellies. But let's acknowledge that most of us have a roof that covers air-conditioned space. And the food in our bellies is way beyond just sustenance. It's delicious and comforting. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel guilty about what you have. I'm grateful for all the excess that I have. And I'm grateful for any extra you might have because I like you all. But we should acknowledge that. And then what? Dig a little deeper. Be thankful that we grew up in households where perhaps the luxury of an education was our reality. You know, my dad, not only did he not finish high school, he never started high school. He went right to work and then eventually joined the Army. When he was out of the Army, he got a decent job and he went to college on the GI Bill. I know that's true of a lot of people. But one of the things he told me was that that benefit wasn't given out equally. He knows that a lot of the people of color with whom he served didn't get the same benefit that he got. He got a big boost, which gave me a big boost, which results in the roof over my air-conditioned house and the wonderful food that I get to eat. It's all a direct result of that. So when it comes down to it, my friends and I, and maybe some of you, we're mostly grateful for being middle-class white people who came from a long line of middle-class white people. And there's nothing wrong with that. Please be grateful for that. Because we are who we are. We have what we have. So be grateful. And then what? Well, for starters, please be happy about that. It's a benefit of gratitude. Get your better night's sleep because of that gratitude. Maybe enjoy lower blood pressure because you're grateful for those things. And then what? I find it interesting that two men who were ideological enemies came up with these two sentences. Leo Tolstoy wrote, "I sit on a man's back, choking him, and making him carry me, and yet assure myself and others that I am sorry for him and wish to lighten his load by all means possible, except by getting off his back." Dwight Eisenhower said, "A people that values its privileges above its principles soon loses both." Please know that guilt has no place in gratitude. You have what you have, and that's okay. Be grateful. We should all embrace what we need to feel fulfilled, safe, happy, secure, and appreciated. And it absolutely isn't one size fits all. But too often in the way that our world is organized, the fulfillment of some comes at the expense of others. Too often we're led to believe we need to be on top, better than someone else. And here's where I think gratitude really pays off. Material gain, it gets you some happiness and well-being, but we get used to that. We begin to expect it. We take it for granted. And that might hijack the positive feelings of our gratitude, just kind of to reinforce our egos. But we don't have to let that happen. I believe that real gratitude is rooted in humility. We simply did not earn everything that we are grateful for. When we combine our gratitude with humility, we found that our health is a little dependent on our behavior, but a lot on the luck of our stars. Because doesn't every kid deserve nutritious food? Doesn't every kid deserve lead-free water coming out of the taps? Doesn't every kid deserve clean air to breathe? But we know that the poor kids don't get those things. We know that they don't have decent school lunch programs. We know that in Flint, Michigan, black kids were the ones with the lead in their water, and we know that brown kids are more likely to live near polluting sites. It's just the way it is. And that shouldn't be luck. When we dive into the deep end of our gratitude for family, we see that we were allowed to maintain those connections through generations. No one broke up our family through Jim Crow practices or the Great Northern Migration. No one separated us from our fathers through biased criminal enforcement and sentencing. No one erased our heritage. And when we look a little harder at feeling grateful for our homes, We maybe see that it's financially easier for some of us to get an education than it is for young people today. And it's easier for some of us to get a reasonable mortgage because we look like our bankers. I know that all of these problems are overarching and huge, and the solutions are complicated, and institutional change is difficult. But we can recognize these issues. We can acknowledge that some of us got extra luck. And privilege isn't inherently a thing that we did wrong. We're not bad people for having it. But when we can see those places where our privilege bumps up against someone else's oppression, we can see an opportunity for change. But we actually have to look. John F. Kennedy said that as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. How do we do that? I don't know. I can't answer that for you. I can't even answer it for myself. But I do know there is no shortage of health or food or shelter or education or happiness. There is enough. And we don't need to hoard those things. We don't need to sacrifice the things that truly make us feel safe and happy. But maybe digging into the real source of our gratitude will help us create that for everyone.